Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to sqadia.com. My name is Muhammad Osama, and today we are talking about data collection in medical statistics and research. And the topic of current lecture is form filling and coding. So in this, we are going to talk about how can we fill the forms and what is the right way to fill a form. How can we code our forms to make it easier for data analysis and data entry, and how is missing data dealt with at the level of filing and coding. So first of all, form filling. Now, form filling is also an art. It is also important to know the right way to do it, because at the end, when you are doing the data entry for the analysis, and if the data is there but it is not readable, then it can be lost. The data, you collected the data was there, but still it is lost because the form filling was not right. So data collection forms nearly always need instructions on how to fill them. That is why if you look at different type of questionnaires, such as NAC Disability Index, they would have a guideline with it on how to fill it and how to score it. So you need to have instructions with the data collection forms or questionnaires. The level of detail in the instruction depends on the complexity of the form and the level of experience of the person filling in the form. For example, a short form of international physical activity questionnaire is actually a very complex form, and it needs a lot of instructions and training for the persons who are collecting the data. On the other hand, some forms such as Massa urinary incontinence questionnaire, I personally believe that it is very easy to understand and it does not need a lot of instructions. So that depends on the complexity of the questionnaire or an outcome measurement tool or whatsoever. When the form or the source data is complex, for example, when we are extracting data from handwritten clinical notes, as we are usually collecting data from hospitals and hospital records and patient records, then some sort of formal training may be needed to ensure accuracy and consistency, especially when there are more than one researchers or individuals who are collecting the data, and they may have differences in the way they collect the data from the clinical notes. So you need to train all of them on the same way, so that can be ensured that the data is the same regardless of which person is collecting the data. And obviously there's different type of information in the clinical notes, so how to interpret that information and how to insert the correct information in the correct section, that is something that needs training on. So it's better that you train your fellow researchers who are collecting the data with you in your study or research before starting to collect the data. Now, when you're collecting the data, what are some simple steps that you should be very concerned about and you should focus on them, because these are the very small things which actually determine the quality of your data. So first of all, writing. Use clear writing and black pen, so that, for example, if you're using a pencil, it can wear off, it can it can get dim and it may not be readable, and it can be changed. So use a clear writing black pen. So that's important. Whenever there is a mistake, whenever you are entering the data and you think that you made a mistake, so don't overwrite it, only just cross through it, use a whitener and rewrite. Always give examples whenever you are giving any question or whenever you are training someone to fill out the form. Give them examples which can be helpful to show how this form should be filled. So that is very important. If you are getting training yourself, or if you are training someone else to fill the form, examples is very important. Guessing. Sometimes it happens that we look at the data and we collected the data, and or sometimes we are actually collecting the data from any other source such as clinical notes, and we needed some information and we don't have it. For example, the gender was not there, and based on the patient history, I make a guess that that person is female. So they should not be guessing. Okay, so the participants who are collecting the data for your research, they should not assume and fill in the missing values, as it increases the risk of bias. For example, if I wanted that Males should have a better score on, let's suppose, physical activity. And if I have the authority to do the guessing work, then I can put in males for all the forms which are showing a better score on the overall score of the, for example, International Physical Activity Questionnaire. So that actually reflects my bias. So I have the chance to make a biased result, and that would actually result in the overall effect on the analysis and results of the study. Calculations. Design your questionnaire in such a way that the person who is entering or filling the forms does not have to calculate or make calculations regarding different type of variables, such as person filling out the form and doing calculations may lead to errors because he's doing two works at the same time, and maybe he can he may not be very good at maths, or he was in a hurry and he did the wrong calculation, or he missed out something in the calculation. So that can actually affect the quality of your data. Secondly, install, record each piece of information to allow computation of the particle value later. For example, you can, instead of having the person who is filling the form calculate the BMI, just get the data for height and get the data for weight and put that in SPSS or put that in Microsoft Excel and make a formula for it, and the computer would calculate in less than a second. So just do that. It would be more easier and valid, and there wouldn't be any error in the calculations. Now, very important thing is coding. Now, we think that coding only happens at the level of when we're working with the computer, but that is not the case. Yes, it does happen, because in a previous series of lecture with medical statistics, we actually talked about how we do coding at the level of SPSS, where we are actually making the variables in the variable view in SPSS. We do coding at that time, but the coding that we are doing at that time actually depends on the coding that we thought of while collecting the data, because this data is going to be entered into the SPSS, and those codes need to depend on these ones. So how do we code our responses in our questionnaires and while filling out the form? So coding is needed to allow a non-numerical or a categorical variable to be used in statistical analysis. And for that, we give it codes in the value of numbers. So in coding, we assign a unique number to each possible response. For example, gender, male and female. So I can give male as 1 and female as 2. So simple as that. So some statistical packages analyze non-numeric data, but it is easier to assign a number to each category. So it's better that we do the coding at the level of designing the questionnaire. So coding scheme should be designed at the same time as the form, so that it can be built into the form if required. And this can be done by writing the code next to the box, or by having a column on the right hand side for the code to be written later. And the individuals who are involved in the data entry, they should be educated regarding the codes for all the variables, so they should know, and should always keep a backup of that code key as well. Now, choosing the code. So whenever you choose the codes, they should be intuitive, they should be instinctive, they should be the first thing that come into your mind. For example, if I say yes, no, the code should be intuitive, instinctive, like yes, 1, no, 0. So it's a very basic, simple and intuitive code. So use 1, 0 for it. If the first category is a null category and there are more than 2 responses, so for example, as mentioned here, no pain, mild pain, moderate pain, and severe pain. So the instinctive coding for it be 0, 1, 2, 3. So 0, no pain, 1, mild pain, 2, moderate pain, and 3, severe pain. So this has an order. So this variable is ordinal as well, and this is also intuitive and instinctive coding as well. Keep a record of the codes for current and later reference, and educate your fellow researchers who are working on the data entry and data analysis with you, so they should also know about all the coding. Now, dealing with the missing data. Now, that is also very important. In previous series of lectures, we once talked about how we deal with the missing data in SPSS. But once again, that also depends on how we are going to analyze it and how we decide at the level of the designing of the form that how we are going to deal with the missing data and how we're going to code for it. So missing data are sometimes given a special code. So what would be that special code? So for example, if I have a variable such as gender and we have 1 and 0, male for 1 and 0 for female. So 1 and 0 are the possible codes for it. But if I insert a code like 999, 999, so 999 cannot be male or female. So it is something that does not fall into any of the category. So that can be used as a code for a missing value. So for yes no example of yes no, I am using, let's suppose, 10. So 999 could not be purposeful or meaningful value, so it is a missing value. And for height in centimeter, 999 or dash can be used, which is not a possible or meaningful value, so it is considered as a missing value when we are analyzing the data. Computer packages use dot to denote a missing value by default. So we can also use dot, but why are we giving a separate value for that? That actually helps us in the way that sometimes we are entering the data and I forgot to enter a value for some variable or some individual. So that would be mentioned as dot. And for someone who did not have that variable's value mentioned in his or her form, I would write 999. So when I look at the data, I would know that if there was a dot mentioned, it means that I forgot to enter the data. And if there was 999 mentioned, then I would know that there was no data present in the form. So I would be able to differentiate it, and that is an important thing to do as well when we are dealing with missing data. Now let's take a look at the examples of questions and how we can possibly code for it. So does the patient currently smoke? So intuitively, instinctively thinking, what's the first thing comes into our mind? Yes, 1, no, 0. Simple coding. So now here we have more than one variables. So here we do not have anything as no. If it was like, are you married? Yes, no. Then we could have said 1, 0. But here we do not have something like a negative response. So no 0 here, but we have married, single, widowed, divorced, separated, and we give a code for everyone. 1 married, 2 single, 3 widowed, 4 divorced, and 5 separated. And now we need to save this key for our future analysis as well. Now patient self-reported pain level. So it is ordinal and there is a negative entry present. So I give 0 to negative entry, which is none, slight pain 1, moderate pain 2, severe pain 3. Now this is ordinal as well. Patient's current medication for pain. Now we have different, for example, we have NSAIDs, opioids, topical analgesic, and anti-epileptic, but it is possible that there would be an individual who would be taking topical analgesic as well as NSAID. So for that individual, I cannot select more than one individual if I only add a code like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. But here I have the liberty to do that because I have 0, 1, which means no and 1 means yes. So I have 0, 1 for every option. So I can select more than 2 options as well, such as I can select analgesic and opioid as 1, 1 and others as 0, 0, 0. So this is all about coding, that how we can analyze the data. Now, one very important thing that we use coding for the variables which are either categorical or they are non-numerical, and we are converting into categories and numerical data and stuff like that. And the use of numerical codes for non-numerical data give us a false impression that they can be treated as numerical analysis and we can calculate mean, median, averages, and stuff like that. But it's not the case. We cannot calculate means and averages and stuff like that for these non-numerical data, because let's take the example of marital status. So we took the example, so there were 5 different categories like engaged, divorced, widowed, married, etc. So I cannot calculate the mean of it. Like for example, the mean value is 1.5. Now what does that mean? It is not purposeful, it is not meaningful, so it is nonsensical. So we should not analyze it as numeric data, because it is not, we just are coding it for easier on the analysis. We can divide into the categories, you can find out the percentages and frequency distribution, but we cannot find the mean and stuff like that. So that was all about this lecture. I hope you learned something new out of it. Keep on watching sqadia.com for more lectures like this. Thank you very much.